So we're still roughly like a little more than 2 months away from the beginning of the season. And I'm dying, man. Like, even the KD headline, I don't think anything's really gonna happen with this. Apparently, KD doesn't even have a lot of leverage in the situation. And this shit is just comedy at this point. Like, it's really funny to see a guy be forced to live with his mistakes like this and just have absolutely no sympathy from anybody. But besides that, the NBA news landscape has pretty much been dry as the Sahara. I would know. Because of the need to continue to pump content out, let's just take a look at these off-season power rankings. You know, the NBA made these power rankings lists. And, you know, the NBA knows as much about the NBA teams as I think anybody does. Or they should, right? John Schumann? This guy, he knows. So hopefully there's something to talk about. 15, we got the Indiana Pacers. No surprise here. I think the bottom of this list, we got Orlando Magic, right? Yeah. So I would 100% agree with both of these so far. I think we're doing well. This is where I disagree right here. Detroit Pistons at 13. They won 23 games last year. Look at these additions, man. How much will they play big? 5 centers. Yeah, I mean, they might play bigger with Kelly Olynyk and Marvin Bagley at the 4. I think you can do that. So yeah, there might be some holes if this team wants to play small and you're putting Saddiq Bey at the 4 and your guard depth at that point, if you're playing 3 guards, might not be sufficient. Yeah, I could see that, but this team isn't going to be perfect. I think they're going to win a lot more than 23 games, though. I mean, come on. Let's just see who's ahead of them. Okay, I think the Charlotte Hornets are primed for a terrible season. Starting with the Miles Bridges stuff. He's not on the team, is he? Is he still on the team? The basketball aspect of the Miles Bridges situation is secondary, but uncertainty around the team's second best player certainly takes the Hornets down a notch. Yeah, isn't he like in jail? Like, what is going to happen with that? He's going to play? Wasn't he going to get a new contract? He's not going to get a new contract now? Yeah, Terry Rozier is a nice player. LaMelo is talented offensive player. Who do they have for big men? They have no big men. They're small as hell. They play absolutely no defense. Completely unserious team. I mean, you've seen the fucking headlines. Like, Jesus Christ. This team is doomed, bro. James Borrega's out. Steve Clifford's back. So Steve Clifford, I guess the idea is he's going to get them to play defense. Yeah, good luck. Wizards at 11. Wizards are an interesting team. Their guard depth is really, really bad. Oh, they got DeLon Wright. I didn't even notice that. It's still bad. Like, Monte Morris is probably going to be the starting point guard. I heard Will Barton's going to be their starting 3. The duo of Bradley Beal and Porzingis is going to be really interesting for sure, but Johnny Davis looked like piss in the summer league, so I don't really expect anything from that. I want to see what Rui Hachimura can do in a full season. I mean, I was waiting for him to have a breakout last year and it didn't happen, so Denny Avdia also is another guy that could take a step. I like Corey Kispert. Yeah, this will probably be a very middling team. Like, they might make the play-in and lose in the play-in. But, yeah, this is fairly accurate, I think. Knicks at 10. They do win some games just off of the addition of Jalen Brunson. No doubt about it. Like, that's a winning player. That's a guy that's going to help you win basketball games. Here's what I'll say. The Knicks, Wizards, and Pistons, I expect these 3 teams to be around the same area. And the Hornets to be below them. That's what I would say. This team kind of just seems like they're headed nowhere. They don't really have, I mean, they're good enough to maybe make the play-in, I guess. And that's the idea here, right? So, whatever. Cleveland Cavaliers at 9. Key departure, they said low expectations. So basically their idea here is, well, the Cavs caught everybody by surprise last year. That's why they were able to finish 7th. And now everybody knows that they're not a bottom-of-the-barrel shit team. So, basically, they can't surprise anybody. I'm really curious to see what happens with Colin Sexton. I think that's a pretty big piece here. Don't really think they need him necessarily now that they have Karis LeVert coming off the bench, but Karis LeVert has had a lot of injury issues, and I do think the Cavs have a really nice roster. You have 2 All-Stars and then Evan Mobley, who undoubtedly is going to be a great player in this league. I think that we can assume that. I could see Atlanta finishing 4 or 5. 8, I think, is super low. Personally, DeJounte Murray, I feel like is going to be such a huge help for this team. Like, I think him and Trae Young in the backcourt, whatever concerns people have about those guys, I don't really get it. If DeAndre Hunter can stay healthy, he's going to be a force at the 3 position for sure. Collins, Capella, Okongwu, that's a solid big man rotation. The Nets added Royce O'Neal and TJ Warren. They lost Bruce Brown, Goran Dragic, Andre Drummond. Any good vibes that might have been remaining? Yeah, I think that is something to keep an eye on, because maybe the idea is Steve Nash just can't coach. I'm not going to argue it, because the expectation is that these guys don't like each other, don't want to be there, and that's something that's going to lose you games. Like, this is what happens. Number 6, we got my Chicago Bulls. I don't know, a lot of uncertainty. I've been a very strong believer in the idea that Lonzo Ball is the glue to this team. Got hurt last year. It was obvious. We were not capable of doing anything in the NBA playoffs, beating anybody good. Every time we faced off against a primetime team, it was curtains. Lonzo Ball had a bone bruise, which was essentially a season-ending injury that he's still recovering from. Apparently he's on track to start the year. Who really knows? I mean, he was supposed to come back last year. It's hard to believe that he will come back and play 70 games, and that's why we're not any higher than 6. If he doesn't play half the year, we will not be a top 6 team, period. I do expect Patrick Williams to take a big step. I think he's going to be one of the best players on this team this year. I'm going to speak that into fruition right now. I don't expect DeMar DeRozan to replicate last season. He was absolutely amazing, but I really do expect Zach LaVine to be the main guy on the Bulls by the end of the year. Toronto Raptors at number 5. Yeah, I like this. Like, their defense should be amazing. Nick Nurse is an incredible coach, all-star players. Scotty Barnes is on his way. Miami Heat at 4, Philly at 3. I think 3 is a good spot on this list. I know that the Bucks and the Celtics are going to be 2-1 on this list. I don't have a problem with this. The Heat were the first seed last year. They lost PJ Tucker, and the Sixers got better. The Celtics got better. The Bucks got better. Right, so PJ Tucker is important. He's an important player. He's not someone that they can just replace. So I would have just expected them to win a few less games just because of that. Sixers should take a step. Okay, we got the Bucks at number 2 and the Celtics at number 1. I mean, yeah, this makes total sense. Celtics were in the NBA Finals. They look like the best team in the East at the end of last year. Yeah, I know Chris Middleton got hurt. Bucks have Chris Middleton back now, so it should be a battle between these two teams as the number 1 team in the conference. But the Celtics added Malcolm Brogdon. That's the reason why they're number 1 in this list. And honestly, I can't really fault the list for that because Celtics were arguably the best team in the East without Malcolm Brogdon, and they got him for absolutely nothing. That's a great pickup to bolster your guard depth. Guy that can dribble the ball, make plays, be an efficient scorer, just kind of do everything. Smart player, fits into their identity. So I can't really see how that makes them worse at all. The Bucks added Joe Ingles, who is pretty old, but he will help them. Lights out shooter. The more shooters you have around Giannis, the better your team will be. Honestly, NBA, yo, real quick, sorry for the grainy ass footage, but I just had to add something in because Boston Celtics are the best at almost. They always get so close. And yeah, maybe this is all necessary for them to finally achieve the only real goal that they have, win a championship, but you don't have a top 10 player. Jason Tatum is extremely fringe top 10 player if you're going to call him one. You have him at 10 if you're going to call him one. That's not enough to get it done. The Bucks have Giannis. The Bucks have Chris Middleton. I know I hate to be the what if guy, but let's be honest, both these teams at full strength, Giannis is the best player in the world. You could argue a few other guys might be better or on the same level, but Giannis is as good as any player in the NBA. Let's just keep it real. You need one of these guys. You need a Giannis. They don't have a Giannis. They don't have a guy like that. They don't have a Steph Curry. They don't have a LeBron. It's a great team, and great teams usually only get so close. And this is another year. It's a great team. The Bucks happened to be the team that ended up with the injury. Giannis and Jrue Holiday were the only two guys dribbling the basketball on the court for the Milwaukee Bucks in that series. It went to 7. Giannis, even though everybody knew exactly what the Bucks were going to do, Giannis was still averaging 35 points a game or whatever. So yeah, I got to give it to the Bucks to be number 1 here if everybody's healthy. When you go back and look, like Hawks at 8, no, I would have the Hawks higher. I would have the Hawks at 5. I would have the Hawks at 5 behind the Heat. I think that's the big miss on this list, but maybe I'm bugging. I guess we're going to find out. NBA. Cavs could be higher as well. Really just depends on the Nets too, because the Nets could be higher if everyone wants to get their shit together. And yeah, not really a lot of hope for these bottom teams. Besides the Pistons, watch out for the Pistons this year. But yeah, nah. Everybody else, nah, not really.